Welcome to CrossPlatform Podcast, where we discuss how to solve productivity problems across platform. I'm Augusto Pinaud,
And I'm Art Gelwicks.
and we're back to the tip of the week. And this week, we are going to come with four things that we use. And that's one of the difference that we're trying to do. Art and I both lived on a cross-platform world, and the idea to bring these tips is to bring things that we use. So the first thing I want to talk today is a product called the Hoverbar Duo from a company called 12,000, and it is the best arm I have found to put my iPad, so that way I can have the iPads at this height and I can use a keyboard under that. It is really robust and it moves, it's solid, and it comes with a clamp that you can put on the desk or a base that you can put on the desk. So over the New Year's Eve, we took a vacation and I took all my gear with me and then brought the base, so that way when we set up or I set up on the desk over there, I just moved the base, put it on that base instead of the clamp, and I was able to work and set up as close to my office as possible. This is maybe more than a tip, a really cool product. The second thing we have is on Windows 10 and 11. It's called a multiple paste. And I saw this working with a client. He was doing paste, and suddenly I noticed that he was having more options than one option. So I asked, and because I know this person in particular, this client, it's on a really locked system, so he cannot install anything. So I know this is something that came from Windows, and this person explained to me that sometime on Windows 10, Windows copied this from Linux. So if you do Windows V, you will activate it. And the next time you do copy and paste, now you will see a window with the last, I think it's 4 or 5 things that you copy to be pasted. I haven't seen that anywhere else. And I thought for a person living in a Windows machine, that was super, super, super cool. So that's my
Yeah, those two are great. I just made a note to look up that hover bar because from a productivity standpoint, and it doesn't matter to the device, it's not device or manufacturer specific.
You're
It
correct.
really can be useful for changing your layout. And I think that's one of the things that we have to be very cognizant about. For our platforms to be efficient and effective, we have to customize them. We have to tune them to the way we work and be willing to adapt and adjust that. And this type of a hover bar solution is a great piece to include in the kit of your environment.
That's
The same
correct.
way, I was going to say the same way in the future, one of the things I want to dig into is lighting. Lighting is a big item, and we never give ourselves time to figure out our lighting. I've been going through and thrashing about my lighting, and I'm still continuing to do it. So this type of a thing, when it comes to line of sight and convenience,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
this is a great product that digs on something that I want to discuss in the future shows. That is how we are all turning into road warriors. I begin my career as a road warrior. Okay, that guy who woke up in the morning and his life was on a bike. That was me many years ago. But the reality now is, with so many people going on these hybrid, semi-hybrid models, we are all turning into road warriors. We are all going to need to learn ways to work in many places than our cubicle or the conference room. Now you go, many of the people at home, hey, work in the living room and then need to hide in the bathroom and then need to go to the kitchen.
Mhm.
But as we begin now going some days to the office, some days here, hey, some day to the cafe, we are all going and we are all turning into the road warriors. And tools like this make really, really interesting stuff like this.
Absolutely. So my two tips for this week are both tied to Windows 11 somewhat. I've recently upgraded to Windows 11. I've been working with it every day now, and it has a lot of strengths. It has some weaknesses. It has a bit of a learning curve. But one of the things that I discovered very recently is there is an option that you can turn on inside of Windows that is called title bar shake. And it's one of those weird things you have to wonder, where did this idea come from? But the first couple of times you do it, you're like, why did it take so long to come up with this idea? Basically what it is this. If you think about in a Windows environment, you may have 4, 5, 6, 8 windows open on your screen at one time, just
Mhm.
layered. And it winds up looking cluttered, like your desk can sometimes look cluttered. Well, Windows title bar shake, if you use your mouse and you actually grab a hold of the title bar of the window that you're working with or you want to concentrate on, and you literally just shake it while holding down your left mouse button, say that 3 times fast, Windows will then immediately minimize all the other windows on your desktop so that that window is the only one that's left. It's literally like swiping everything off your desk and having just one piece of paper left behind. And again, thinking about one of those features, it's like, why would I use this? I think I used it about 15 times just today. Because you get to that point of you start to stack the things through. It's like, I got a mess here. And I don't want to go through and click and minimize all of them. So I just take the one I'm working on, give it a quick shake, and then everything else is out of the way. Great little tip. The other
Yeah,
one,
that is an awesome tip, and I agree with you. It's like the multiple paste that I was saying before. When I saw it, I was like, I know so many people who can benefit from this. That is,
yeah, it's a quick, tiny little, and it's actually kind of interesting because if you're running in a multi-monitor configuration, it will minimize windows on the other monitors too. So it literally hides everything to just the one thing that you're working with. So if you want to focus for any period of time, you can just say, okay, minimize everything. Let me focus just on that thing. So it's
oh,
kind of
that's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a neat little trick. It can be
And
a
it's
little
just Windows
disconcerting the
11,
first time.
correct?
Just on Windows 11. Yeah, it's not because you actually, and it's not something that is natively turned on. You have to go into the Windows settings and enable it. But once you've got it enabled, then you're off and ready to go.
Okay.
The second one is tied to Microsoft Edge. I've switched over to using Microsoft Edge as my primary browser on my laptop instead of Chrome for a number of reasons. I like a lot of its functionality. One of the features it has in it is the ability, and it's similar to Chrome, the ability to take a website and make it, quote, an app. Basically you're installing that website as a PWA. Now in Chrome, you basically get it as a window, and that's
And
nice.
sorry, let me interrupt you for a
Oh
second. I
yeah.
want to say two things. So for the listeners who not all listeners are technical. So PWA, it's a progressive web application, and that was something that Google created so they could make applications. The second thing is part of the reason that is so easy into Edge is because Edge is based on Chromium. So Microsoft, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and fail again, decide to go to the Chromium and enhance it. And I agree with
Mhm.
you. Edge, it's a lot more powerful because they took the good of the Chromium engine and built on top of that. And one thing that I've been appreciative is Google has been able to integrate some of these things that Edge came first to
Mhm.
Chrome and vice versa. And I think that's going to make that browser a lot more powerful.
So far, I've been very impressed with a lot of its features and some of the future tips I'm going to be sharing. Things like vertical tabs, which you wouldn't think are that big of a deal, to me are actually a game changer as to being able to deal with massive amounts. But back to this creating an app. When you install a website as an app through Edge, not only does it basically put it into its own window and allow you to run it directly without getting the normal tab configuration, but when it's installed, Windows or Edge will prompt you to pin this to your taskbar, pin the app to your start menu to create a desktop shortcut for it. And this is the feature that I like, allow you to auto start that particular app on your device login. So by enabling that, you can take, for example, Google Mail, Outlook.com. You can take your task manager, something like Todoist through the browser, install it as an app and say auto start on device login. And literally then, as soon as you log in, that little PWA based app pops open and starts running. It's a really nice piece to truly start to use some of these cloud-based solutions as if they were apps. My taskbar has a bunch of them down there right now, and it's they work like regular programs. So if you're using a browser like a Chrome or in this case Edge, look to see about installing sites as apps. I think you'll find that they become very useful, especially if they're ones that you use all the time. You shouldn't have to be going back and opening a tab and jumping out to that site. You can literally just make it click and play.
That's that is awesome. Okay, well, with this, we come at the end of our tips show. So follow us. Would you like to listen to podcasts? Like us, subscribe to us, and leave us a review. You can also interact with us in personalproductivity.club. We are Augusto Pinaud and Art Gelwicks. So see you next time on your favorite device.